watched that trailer saying, Elliot's got such a good voice for this.
No,
I love the narration.
Holy smokes. First of all, thank you for doing this film. It should be taught everywhere.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what we're saying.
I mean, if you need distribution, he knows a person. He doesn't, but okay.
They don't need my help. They got this under control. So the documentary follows scientists sort of uncovering research that really debunks what a lot of us learned growing up in biology class, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. No, I made it because when I was growing up, I was taught that females are naturally inferior to males and that queerness is simply unnatural.
Same
I'm
girl,
from
same,
Texas.
Same. Oh, yeah.
I went to public high school, and we were actually told we could walk out of biology class if we were offended by evolution. But nobody ever asked us if we were offended by sexism or homophobia, for example. So it wasn't until I grew up and learned about all of this information that I actually got to feel like I belong here on Earth just like anybody else.
Yeah. Elliot, there's so many incredible animals featured in this film. Each of them sort of tells a story, has its own unique spotlight in the film. Is there one that you recall that you're like, oh wow, yeah, that's the one? That's going to be in the trailer. That's
I think, you know, bonobos are so interesting and fascinating because we're so closely related to them, as much as chimpanzees, but we don't hear about bonobos as much. And I feel like a good reason for that could potentially be because they're matriarchal and don't exhibit the, you know, the gender roles and the gender binary that we're told exists all across nature, which is not true, and of course what this documentary kind of debunks in a way that I think is so enjoyable and funny and expansive and exciting. This information's exciting, you know. I know change can be scary. We've been, you know, told these rigid ideas about who we're supposed to be, and I think this documentary could let a lot of people take a deep breath, you know.
Well, I mean, historically, I mean, that's been the job of science, right? To say, hey, guess what? The sun does not revolve around the Earth. It's the other way around. So there are things you take for granted for a long time, then you dive in and do the science, and you go, oh, okay, I guess we got that wrong. Let's update the way we think. You said funny, which I think is such an important part here. Drew, you're really, I mean, you're all about comedy, really. And this documentary, while it's tackling something serious and interesting and thoughtful, there's some humor to it. Why was that so important?
Well, I love to make people laugh. We know that laughter is good for us, right? It's good for our mental health. It's good for our health.
That's right.
And I also think it helps us open up. So especially when we're talking about something that might be uncomfortable for some people, I think it's important to have humor and heart as well, because it lets people open up, and I think when you open your heart, you might also open your mind a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
I like that. I love to diffuse anything with humor.
With humor, yeah.
You got to see a Castro family dinner. That's nothing but jokes. Why did you turn out this way?
Sounds perfect.
But the film has already connected with audiences, so congratulations, South by Southwest.
Thank you.
What kinds of reactions stood out to you during these screenings? Were they what you were expecting? I'm always curious when the creators are there and you can see it in real time.
It's very sweet. At every single film, people come up to me after and say, this is the film that I needed. I didn't know I needed it. And people say, I wish I had this when I was a kid. I wish I had this when I was a teenager. And you know, we've shared it with people 11 to 90 years old. And in all of those ages, people have fallen in love with it and just shared that they needed this message right now.
Yeah. One of the big themes, obviously, of the film is challenging conventional thinking and what a lot of us have been taught. You know, a film really succeeds when it starts a conversation amongst the audience. What conversation are you hoping that folks have when they leave the film?
Gosh, I guess to me it's about, you know, all the possibilities of just what it means to be alive and a part of this natural world, and how much more there is to learn. You know, there's been all these incredible discoveries, an incredible book by Joan Roughgarden, who's followed in this documentary, who wrote Evolution's Rainbow. And she wrote that book 20 years ago, and she herself is like, I want other people to be challenging my work, going deeper with my work, but people are really afraid, you know, to touch on this subject. And so I think, yeah, it's just exciting to have the opportunity to learn this information and to also examine why we haven't been taught it before and why we were told the, quite frankly, quaint little myths that we've been told are the way nature and how we should be constructing ourselves and our society.
Because all women love to shop and all men love football. We know that. Right?
Sure. Meanwhile, you know twice as much about sports as I do, and I love to shop. So
I feel
go
like
figure.
there's another part. Could there be another a part 2 to this film?
Absolutely. I actually originally wrote it as a series, a 10-episode series. But it took 11 years to make this film, and the first 6 years were just finding the money because nobody in Hollywood wanted to support this project in the beginning. And finally after 6 years I got the seed money to start filming, and from there it really blossomed, and there's no end to the amount of stories that we can tell about diversity in nature. So I would love to do a sequel for you.
Fantastic. Please.
Elliot, really quickly before we go, we can't have you here and not at least mention you're going to be in what we all expect to be the biggest blockbuster of the summer, The Odyssey. I know you can't talk too much about it. We don't want to spoil anything for anybody out there. Is there anything you can tell us about the
just whisper in our
experience
ears.
or
Tell us
about filming
everything.
it or just what it was like?
I mean, filming it was just so incredible. I feel so lucky to have gotten to work with Chris Nolan again. Getting to be a part of Inception was so special and such a highlight in my career, and to get to have this opportunity and be a part of such a spectacular movie is I just feel so grateful.
It also says great things like when somebody like Chris Nolan invites you back to do a
Hello.
second, like that's a great compliment.
That's
you know, when one of the defining directors of the generation says, "I've worked with you and I want
back.
you on my next project." So,
Oh yeah, by the way, I want you on my next project.
there we go.
Two for two. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you both so much. Truly, this is a lot of fun, and congratulations on the
Thank
work.
you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Second Nature is now playing in theaters in LA, and it's opening at DCTV Theater in New York City this Friday.
Let's go on a field trip.
Let's do it.
Let's go.